All right, fight fans, no Sergio Mora today, so we're not going to hear Chris beating up on Serge, but he's going to talk a little Kambosos, Ryan Garcia, a bunch of stuff. This was reported on SI.com earlier today, but we got him with us right now. What's up, Chris?
Wait a minute. We couldn't get Michael Coppinger? We couldn't get Mike Coppinger? What's going on, man?
Wow. Are you talking about Mike Coppinger?
Listen, Serge is not here. Somebody got to go at you, Chris. Somebody.
I'll take both of you out as quickly as it takes Sergio out. Let me tell you.
I'm undefeated, brother, but let's go.
Now, listen, give us a scoop. What is going on with Ryan Garcia, George Kambosos?
Well, as you guys well know, there's been a lot of intense negotiations for George Kambosos' next fight. A lot of those early talks have centered around Kambosos against Devin Haney. What I've been told this week is that talks between Kambosos and Haney are effectively dormant. I wouldn't go as far as saying dead because nothing in boxing is truly dead, but the people I've talked to that are involved in these discussions have said there just really isn't a deal to be had right now. And the biggest reason is that there just isn't a financial package that is satisfactory to Devin Haney and his team. So at this point, it seems like money is the biggest obstacle in making a fight between Haney and Kambosos. And at this point, it doesn't look like that fight is going to happen.
Okay, but first of all, who's offering the money? Is it Eddie saying, okay, this is what I have that's available for the fight, or is it Kambosos' side, which is Lou DiBella, saying, this is what I'm offering you, Devin?
Well, there are certainly a lot of cooks in the kitchen on something like this, and I don't think it's one person just doing one thing. You've got a lot of people involved. Of course, Dazn is involved as the broadcaster and a network and obviously streaming service that is interested in getting involved in boxing in Australia. Kambosos is a big part of something like that. But just at this point, there just isn't the money that is going to satisfy Team Haney. That's what I've been told. And Kambosos' side is looking in other directions. The two directions they're looking at strongest at this point are at Vasily Lomachenko and potentially a deal that could see Kambosos square off against Ryan Garcia. Now, let's start with the Lomachenko side of this. Lomachenko and Top Rank have been very amenable to whatever Kambosos wants to do. Lomachenko's primary focus is not to make top dollar in a fight like this. It's to be involved in a fight that would make him the undisputed 135-pound champion, to get 4 belts. So he has been willing to be flexible on the money for a situation like this. And, that's made those conversations easy. Top Rank and Kambosos' side have discussed the framework of a deal that makes some sense. So there's some momentum there as far as making a deal between Kambosos and Lomachenko. The Garcia side of it is interesting as well.
But Chris, let me just comment on that. I mean, that sounds good, but I hate to say, okay, Lomachenko is flexible, and we haven't heard anything from Devin. Who's to say Devin isn't flexible? Who's to say they're not really disrespecting Devin like Tyson Fury with the 80%, 20%, the WBC with the 80%, 20% for Dillian White? So
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that. It's not to say anything about Devin being greedy, just kind of wants what he wants. And Lomachenko, all I can tell you is that the people that are involved with Kambosos have been able to, not an agreement per se, but are on the same page as far as money goes to make a Kambosos and Lomachenko fight happen. Wow. They're not on the same page as far as money goes to make Kambosos and Haney happen.
Well, according to Eddie said that Devin would go into this fight solely to really capture those belts, and he's not going to take crumbs and peanuts, but shifting gears. Credit to Kambosos if he's willing to jump into a fight with Lomachenko. That Loma that just came from that Colmay fight, the first time defending those belts. I mean, listen, if I'm a manager,
good.
That's
who
the guy
doesn't
I'm
want to
trying.
See an undisputed champion? You know what I mean?
No,
Who doesn't want to see that?
Obviously, Kambosos wants to ride this wave. Now, I'm not saying he's a one-hit wonder. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is you want to defend all your titles against a guy like Lomachenko right away. I mean, I'm a manager. I'm against that.
It wouldn't just be a one-off. It's a 2-fight deal with Lomachenko well. So there would be a rematch clause involved in that contract. And Lomachenko has not only expressed a willingness to go to Australia. From what I've been told from Lomachenko's side, is that like he'd do his whole training camp in Australia. Like he would effectively not move there, but be a citizen there basically for 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it is that he needs for his training camp. So look, there's just to kind of boil it down, there's a lot of synergy when it comes to the talks between Lomachenko and Kambosos, and not the kind of synergy you need to make a fight happen between Haney's side and Kambosos.
So the difference is, we're talking Ryan Garcia is a Golden Boy guy, and obviously Devin is Matchroom. So there's more likely to make a deal with Golden Boy and Lou DiBella for Ryan Garcia.
I would say
what's the difference?
At this point, there is more optimism that a deal could be struck on that side of it. The difference in that deal, from what I've been told, is that both fighters would have interim fights before they faced each other. Now, Garcia, of course, as we know, is penciled in to fight in April in his first fight since January of 2021. Kambosos, I've been told, prefers to fight in June on the Queen's birthday holiday over in Australia, which is a big day. Would like to have a big event on that day. So if you had Garcia, and again, this is all kind of just discussed at this point. If you had Garcia fighting in April, Kambosos fighting in June, then the idea at least is to have both these guys meet in a fight before the end of the year.
But didn't the Emperor tell us and all the rest of his subjects that he doesn't want to go into a gimme fight? He wants to go straight into the Lion's Den with a tough fight. You know, the top guys. Yes, Ryan would be one of them, but if Ryan's not ready, and that doesn't mean you have to fight one of those gimme fights, why not do what you said and fight a tough fight? What do you think?
Look, I understand that. Look, and I spoke with Kambosos via text message during the week, and he reiterated to me his desire to have a big fight in his next time out. He said on the record, he said, let's go Devin Haney and Matchroom. Let's go Vasily Lomachenko and Top Rank. Let's make a deal. Let's get it on. But you also have to remember, as much as Kambosos wants that big fight, he's got to be financially smart here. This is maybe his one opportunity to cash that lottery ticket. And if you're in a position where you have to backtrack a little bit, take kind of a victory lap type of fight before going into that next big fight, sometimes you got to do it. And
but have you ever heard of anybody as confident as Kambosos? Maybe Deontay Wilder back in the day, but he's super confident that he's beating everybody. So it shouldn't be, in his mind, it shouldn't be a victory lap. Because he's feeling like he's going to win no matter what.
Honestly, like every fighter ever, like I feel like thinks they're going to win their next fight, says their next fight is going to. I'm not. Come on. How many fighters have you heard say my next fight's going to be a big one? It's going to be huge. It's going to be whatever, and then it isn't. It's kind of as simple as that. Sometimes the finances get in the way of making fights like this happen.
Okay. All right, let's talk about a big fight. It was just announced, potentially biggest fight in women's history. In my opinion, it is Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. Your take on that fight? I'm excited.
I'm incredibly excited, and it says a lot about how far women's boxing has come, that all the oxygen over the last 48 hours has been soaked up by talk about Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. It is, without question, the biggest fight in women's boxing history. It will be a huge event, with both Taylor and Serrano being top 3 pound-for-pound women, with Jake Paul involved, with Eddie Hearn involved, with Jordan Maldonado, the trainer of Amanda Serrano, who we know is a little bit wacky at times. He is going to be involved. So this has the potential to be high drama before the fight, and I think it certainly will be high drama during the fight. I honestly don't know, guys, who wins. I mean, Katie Taylor is, in my mind, number 1 pound for pound. She is the natural 135-pounder, but she's had her struggles in recent fights. Has not been dominant in recent fights. Whereas Amanda Serrano, she is probably most comfortable at 126 pounds, so she's coming up a little bit outside of her comfortable weight, but she is powerful, and she is looks more like the professional boxer at times than Katie Taylor does. So, to me, this is a coin flip type of fight that is going to be a massive, massive event.
You just kind of described it so well. I don't understand how you can describe it like that and still put Katie Taylor number one. I thought Katie Taylor was number one at one time, but now that she's been struggling, and you got women like Amanda Serrano, who's killing people like Bermudez, who is top 10 pound for pound. No one else is knocking people out on the pound for pound list but her. That's why I feel like she's number one right now. You know,
hold on. Whose top 10 is Bermudez in pound for pound? Not
she
mine.
Was. She was.
Not mine.
Well, yours
never been mine.
Yours never counts, Chris. Stop.
Mine counts.
Stop.
This
Yours
time
never counts.
and all the time.
Stop
I would point. Look, I think that Katie and Michaela Mayer kind of hinted this on Twitter. Katie has not adapted that well to the not as well to the pro game as maybe some people thought she would, but she's also fighting top pound for pound women. I mean, look, Delphine Persoon is still on my pound for pound list. I think she's excellent, and Katie has fought 2 times against her. Katie has a win over Jessica McCaskill. She's not dominating.
All of those are years ago. All of those are years ago. Right now, Amanda Serrano is the most dominant woman in boxing. Straight up.
Okay, but she beat a woman in her last time. I'm not arguing against Amanda Serrano. Like I said, coin flip type of fight. But she beat a woman in her last fight that Katie already beat. So what are we talking about here?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a 50-50 fight. But, Rock, I mean, there's pros and cons. Like Chris said earlier, Katie's comfortable at 135. She's been there. Amanda's been up and down, up and down, up and down. So, and
killing
Katie
everybody.
I would say, hold on.
No
Let me finish with this. I would say, I think you would agree, Katie's quality of opposition for the entirety of her career is probably better than Amanda's. Her resume is better than Amanda's.
I get it, but we're talking about now. Pound for pound is now, Chris.
Okay,
now.
but no losses. She's not losing. She's just winning close fights.
And then the person that's dominating is Amanda, so I got her as number one. That's all I'm saying. I love them both. They're both up there on the top, but Amanda is the most dominant right now.
All right, well, we'll see.
And Bermudez is a top fighter. Bermudez is a top fighter when Katie's just getting by on fights.
All right. Well, all of y'all keep that same energy on April 30th. Man, I can't wait for that fight to go down. More on that. For more on that, go to DAZN News.